Hello, welcome to Premier Scene. I'm Claire Bueno as Thomas Hardy's classic love story leaps from book to screen as we attend the UK premiere of Far From the Madding Crowd.
Christopher! It's your uncle's will! He's left you everything. Oh my goodness.
From now on, you have a mistress, not a master. It is my intention to astonish you all.
What was fascinating about watching the film was that this film is very relatable to modern women, because as much as she's independent, she also has vulnerabilities that we still have by making impetuous mistakes. Is that something that you found within her?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the amazing thing about her is that Thomas Hardy was able to write such a complex, rich, real woman more than 150 years ago, who's completely living outside of her own social context. So, yeah, she's a fascinating character.
Now, watching your portrayal, he made me feel that he was a very instinctive man and kind of left things to fate. Is that how you saw him?
No, because I think his faith is a choice. He knows what he believes in, and he knows why he believes in it. And so he's very determined and consistent in it. And even though he suffers a lot of setbacks and he gets like emotional blow after emotional blow, he remains loyal. Always trustworthy, always honest and helpful. Even if he's hurt, like really bad, you know, he sticks to the woman he loves, even though she doesn't realize that that's the guy to go for. But eventually, you know, she will discover it. Yeah.
There are some scenes where there isn't a lot of dialogue for you, but yet you speak and say such a lot. Does that interest you, to play parts that you can emote what you're wanting to say through your physicality?
Well, I don't know. For me, it's all about an intention and a feeling. Sometimes a feeling or an intention is translated into words, but sometimes it's just translated into a gaze and for me, those are, you know, the way they are translated is just a form, but the intention and the feeling should be authentic. And to me, it's all the same.
Now, I saw your character as a confidant, really, and best friend.
She's like a busy mate, yeah.
What was it about the part when you read it that you thought, oh my gosh, I've got to do this?
Because I felt like she was the opposite of Bathsheba, in terms of, like, you see somebody who doesn't have those pressures yet, and those pressures from men and from work, and Liddy is just a very sweet a young girl who just loves everything and just wants to bleed life dry, and everything is just, she's having a ball constantly. It was a contrast between the two, and I really liked that.
Really, the scene between you is quite pivotal, isn't it? Where you're with the Valentine's Day card, you're egging her on a bit to do something mischievous.
Because she doesn't really realise that it's going to go wrong, because everything that she does, like, nothing has gone wrong for Liddy. She's a very simple girl, she's simple. She lives on a farm, everything is wonderful, she plays with animals. Nothing bad could ever happen to her, everything's fun. She's with her friend having a good time.
Did you just remain to the script where, as part of your research, or you did delve into Thomas Hardy's?
No, that was wonderful. Thomas really encouraged us to improvise around the lines and to feel free and to let your imagination wander. And then he'd always rein you back in. But I think he always wants things to be as real as possible, and I love that. I just love flying by the seat of my pants, really.
And at the heart of Thomas Hardy's work, what was it for you? The original?
The Bathsheba and what she's fighting for, and she stays strong, and she has these pressures from everything, and she never forgets her morals once, and you see her cry and you see her laugh, and at the heart of her is always what she believes in, and she doesn't let that go at any point.
So when you're presented with a script that's roots are from Thomas Hardy, I bet you couldn't wait to get involved, could you?
I was pretty happy, yeah. I sort of, when I was sent the script, I was just sort of looking at it going, I've struck gold here. So I was, yeah, and by, you know, having David Nicholls adapting it as well was an extra joy. Just what a bonus.
He'd already adapted a Thomas Hardy piece before, hadn't he? Yeah, Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
That's Tess of the D'Urbervilles, exactly. So I think he's on a roll with these classic period pieces, isn't he?
I think the locations as well were so important to Thomas Hardy, wasn't it? And I think what we've seen in this film is that that's beautifully integrated into it as well.
I think so, and I think it's very important that he did it in the original locations. You know, there's so much in Thomas Hardy's, you know, books about the surroundings, and I think Thomas Vinterberg has really captured that from what I gather from seeing trailers. But yeah, he's... yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, and you really get the sense of that, the rolling green hills, and you know, and the sets were fantastic, and you know, so you really immersed yourself in the world.
And I think you're touching on Thomas Vinterberg as well. Being Danish, the Danish make such brutally honest films, don't they? And I think, you know, with him being on board to add that kind of flair to it, really complements Thomas Hardy's work, doesn't it? Really?
I think obviously Thomas had looked at the script a long time ago, and I think he knew as soon as he saw the script what he wanted to do with it. And I think he's probably been very true to what Thomas Hardy would have wanted. I think, you know, like I mentioned, with the surroundings, and I think also the script, and I think it's just handled with a lot of care, and that's what makes it so. Will make it brilliant.
And with regards to your role in the film, what was it about him that you just, you know, you took to?
Well, when I saw the script and when I auditioned, I mean, it's, you know, it's a small part, but it's a great part because it's playing the best friend of Troy, who is, you know, the soldier. I think I like the idea for a start of wearing such an amazing garb, you know, with one of the pointy helmets and scarlet jacket. Was great, and I think it's just because he, you know, he's always at Troy's side, and I think Troy obviously goes through quite a lot in the film, and he's just a bit of glue for that character.
And with regards to costume as well, you always think about period pieces and you think of women's costumes being beautiful and glamorous and all of those wonderful things, but for you as a male wearing period costume, how does that help you inform your character?
Well, it was very hard to wear, I've got to be honest, at times. It wasn't easy to get into. But I think, you know, like any actor, when you put on the costume, you just kind of become the character a bit more. It just, you know, and having all the surroundings there just makes it live, makes it breathe. And I think it just helps, especially when you're in such a, you know, upright outfit. It really puts you into that mindset. So that helped.
Now, the heart of Thomas Hardy's writing is realism, and the one thing I've admired about Danish filmmaking is its realism, and I just wondered whether that was something that you also connected to in the writing.
Well, I was humbled and amazed and in love with the material from the get-go. I do think there is a common rooting of his writing and Scandinavian drama. There is a seeking towards the darkness that we share with Thomas Hardy back where I come from. I don't know if it's realism. I wouldn't call it that. This is indeed a sweeping romance and a fairy tale and a drama, but there is something gritty and there's some fatalism in this that I find very attractive.
And also the characters are multi-dimensional, but you're also working with actors that you can clearly see on screen, bringing so many other layers to it. So for you as a director, it must have been a joy to watch and work with.
It was absolutely amazing to work with Carey Mulligan and Sheen and the Belgian dude, this rock of a man over here, and Tom Sturridge indeed as well. All very, very intelligent, British, well-trained, brilliant, talented actors, and all still very emotional and vulnerable. So I totally enjoyed it.
The last time I saw you was at the Crouch End Women's Work Evening.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, lovely Q&A.
Okay. Oh, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Now, I'm thinking of period dramas in the UK. We can sometimes become overly sentimental. Yet this isn't. Thomas Hardy's work isn't, and I just wondered how important was it for you when you were writing the screenplay to keep that tone?
Yeah, very important. I mean, I love Hardy, and what I love about him is that, you know, a lot of period drama is about buttoned up emotions and people not saying what they feel, and in Hardy they just say it. I mean, it's incredibly emotional, it's violent, it's very sexual. I mean, I think he's a sort of bizarrely sexy writer for the 19th century. And it's passionate and it's full of these amazing set pieces. And that's what I think he brings that you don't necessarily expect from a period drama.
And this isn't the first Thomas Hardy adaptation that you've written. What is it about strong women that you particularly enjoy writing about?
Well, you know, when I read these books when I was 17, I fell in love with Tess and I fell in love with Bathsheba, and they were very different, and it was very refreshing to see active women at the centre of these stories who weren't afraid of saying what they felt. You know, not buttoned up, prissy characters. I mean, I love Dickens, but Dickens' female characters have nothing on Hardy's. And so that's appealing. I find the books very romantic. I find the books very moving. And I find this book in particular, like, it's a great romantic comedy and it's also a great dark melodrama. I love that combination.
And you've got a Danish filmmaker at the helm of it.
Yeah.
The Danish are so great at making gritty, truthful dramas. So to have somebody like this helming it must have been very exciting.
Absolutely. You know that he's going to keep it real and he's going to get great performances, and that it isn't going to feel sort of mothballed. It isn't going to feel dusty. It's going to feel contemporary and realistic and tough, and that's what I love about Thomas.
And the locations, obviously, when you read Thomas Hardy's work, it's so very vital to who he is and at the heart of his books as well. And I just wondered how important that was for you, and what did you do to be able to capture that so well?
I mean, we were pretty determined to shoot as much as we could in West Dorset where it's set. I mean, we didn't shoot in the actual real life locations, but we shot in the region. And that was important. It's very hard now because you have all these pylons and A roads and tourists, and you know, it's much more populated than now than it was then. But we realized that it was really the only option to shoot in that part of the world.
How wonderful to have a story about a strong female and then to have a strong director of photography and an editor. How wonderful.
Claire, yeah, and it's very exciting. I don't know, I don't think it was planned that way. I think it kind of happened accidentally, but yeah, it's been amazing to be part of it. And
there are so many beautiful scenes in this film that has been shot beautifully. Thomas Hardy, the way he wrote the locations were very vivid. How did you work on that yourself to kind of get the same vision?
I was very inspired by the novel. I kept the novel by my side the whole way through. The details of and the descriptions of the landscapes and the details he puts in there was very important for me to understand. When you make a wide shot, what are you looking at? You're looking at the shadows, the time of day, the sheep. You know, so it's not just a beautiful view, because you know that you take a photograph of a beautiful view, it's not the same as when you were there. So it was we kept that inspiration throughout the shoot, just understanding what he saw when he wrote the novel, and keeping the landscapes and the Dorset area as a main character in the film, really.
And there's such an intimacy as well between the camera and the actors. There seems to be a lot of space for room to breathe. Was that something that you and Thomas worked on quite closely as well to try and capture?
Yes. Thomas is he's an actor's director, and he is a genius of getting those under the skin shots and performances. And so there was a lot of discussions. We wanted the sweeping romance, big wide shots and things, but we also wanted the intimacy of a scene and just Carey's face or Oak and the light in the eyes and just being with them in a more not a documentary, but a very truthful look. It was very important. I think that's also what make this a Vinterberg film, is exactly that.
How did you shoot this? Was it on 35mm? Or
yes, we shot on 35mm, which was, we felt, very important to capture the truth of this story, and we didn't want much manipulation in the post-production. We wanted it to be shot, the look shot in camera, so it's as pure as possible, and that the audience doesn't feel as layers and layers of grain that's been added or